is the president or the executive branch. And so Trump's executive order, which he issued back in March, is essentially an attempt to end run that constitutional provision. As you say, in this executive order, Trump, first of all, tells DHS, you have to develop these things called state citizenship lists. If you look at the executive order, the order doesn't even know how you're supposed to put those lists together. It says basically, well, DHS, look at various databases and do your best to pull together lists of eligible voters, and those lists will override the state lists. And then the second thing the order says to do is the U.S. Postal Service, you are only to deliver mail-in ballots to people who are on this master federal list. And so the argument challenging this executive order, which has been successful so far by these states, says basically this is the executive branch inserting itself, the president inserting himself into the electoral process, which is reserved only for the states or for Congress.
And court filings show that the Federal Appeals Court ruling to uphold the ban on the executive order did so because the U.S. Postal Service could implement Trump's order in some states, but not others. We should note we're 99 days away from the midterm elections, or at least from midterm election day. It's getting a little late for this.
Yeah, and that's legally relevant. First of all, the courts have made clear time and again that you are not supposed to mess with the rules around elections if we get too close to elections. And now we are really close to elections. And in fact, one of the arguments, really the only argument the Justice Department even made to defend this thing is to say, well, it's premature because DHS and the Postal Service haven't even done what they're supposed to do yet. But the response to that is, yeah, that's exactly why you need to block this, because it's going to create chaos, because here we are 3 or so months before the election, because we're in a status right now where half the states are opposing this and half the states want to do it. And that's why the challengers say the courts need to come in and block this.
How likely is it, do you think, that the U.S. Supreme Court will hear this appeal as opposed to refusing to hear it and let the appeals court verdict stand?
Yeah, so the Supreme Court is out of session now, but they are still considering cases on what we sometimes call the emergency docket or the shadow docket. It takes 5 of the 9 justices to intervene in a case off of the emergency docket. No matter what the Supreme Court does, they're going to be involved, because if they turn this case down, then the lower court, the Court of Appeals ruling, stands, which blocks this executive order. That's option 1. Option 2, if the court decides to get involved, then they might agree. They might agree that this is causing chaos and against the Constitution, or they might overturn it. They might say, go ahead, you can try to move forward with this. But if that's the case, Jake, then we're going to have chaos as a practical matter.
Ellie Honig, thanks so much. We're going to have much more on the story to come. There's another major story that we're following tonight related to how President Trump is trying to change the United States of America, and that is the desperate effort by hundreds of thousands of people to stay in this country legally, as they had been, in the wake of the consequential decision by the conservative supermajority on the U.S. Supreme Court. These people may lose soon a form of humanitarian relief known as TPS, temporary protected status, referring to immigration status. If they do lose TPS, immigration officials can begin deporting scores of migrants. And these are individuals from war-torn and disaster-stricken countries such as Haiti, Syria, Somalia, and Yemen, who had been admitted to the U.S. with temporary legal status out of humanitarian concern. These are people who had been living and working legally in the U.S. Until the Supreme Court's decision in June. People such as, for example, this woman in Miami who didn't want us to show her face.
I want to remind others that us